Hello there. Greetings from my mother's kitchen. Today I will be making wine from Concord grapes, which is what I believe they are. It's what my grandpa told me they are. They are little purple grapes, and they have very thick skins, and they have like a jelly-like insides, and they're seeded. They seem to me to be very sweet and delicious, so I hope they make a good wine. So first thing I've done is I found a couple of jars that were in my mother's storage cupboard. I was gonna buy a food grade something, but this seemed cheap and free and easy. I washed them out with hot water. I didn't use soap because I thought it might contaminate, so I'm just going to rinse them again with nearly boiling water. Hopefully I don't break them. And I'm using grapes that I just picked this morning that are unwashed because I want to maintain the yeast on them. So I'm assuming that a little bit of dirt isn't going to ruin everything since theoretically they're covered in dirt. So we're going to see how that goes. I'm going to finish my prep work and I'll be back in a minute with the next step. Okay, I'm back now for the sterilization part. This isn't that important, but I thought if it went horribly wrong, it might make a decent fail video, so I figured I'd film it. This just was at a rolling boil. This is a glass 8-cup measuring cup. Usually you're not supposed to put glass in boiling water, but we're going to have faith this glass is strong enough. And I'm just going to bring it over here to my jars that you can't see, but I've got my jars in the sink. I'm just kind of going to generously pour the boiling water over the jars, inside and outside, so they get nice and hot and boiled and full of boiling water. And I'm going to do it, a couple times so they get decently sterilized. Looks like we don't have any fails today, which I'm happy about. Okay, that's taken care of. I might do it a couple more times and I'll be back with the fun stuff. Okay, so now I have a relatively sterile 8-cup glass measuring cup, and I have my sterile jars, and I have a little clean cloth over the top of them to not let anything float in there and contaminate them. So the next step is just going to be pretty much grape sorting. I'm just going to go through and grab the plump, juicy looking grapes off of here, throw them in this bowl. I don't know if anyone else has grown grapes before, but they don't seem to ripen extremely evenly. So any unripe grapes or ones that already got eaten by a bird or anything like that, I will throw in another bowl and do something else with them, probably throw them away. So this will probably take me a while and won't be that fun to watch. So I'll spare you that. Okay, so I've got about, this thing full, 8 cups or so of grapes that I've separated. I still probably have another 8 cups in here that I haven't separated, but I'm going to, so there's probably a couple of different ways you could do this, as you imagine. The next step is to crush the grapes. So some people use kind of a mortar and pestle method. Others, this is the internet that I did research on, said to use your hands. So I'm going to play around with what the best method is, but I think I might use my hands. And I was just going to kind of squish them into there. I guess I could squish them in here first. I might need another container. So kind of the goal is to just get them to be as juicy as possible. And these grapes are like very gelatinous, so I actually might need a hard thing to squish them with, and I probably shouldn't have filled this bowl so much. But anyways, that's the next step. So we'll be doing that again for another however long it takes me. And I'll show you what the end result looks like. They're super squishy. Okay. Okay, so the method I ended up using was I took half the grapes out, I threw them in a thing, and then I just kind of massaged them. And what I found, which isn't that surprising, is that a bunch of juice comes out, and then I'll show you. But then you get these little sacs. I don't know if you can see, and I'm dripping on the floor. It's like the inside of the grape. So those I have to individually squish, and I don't know if I would get all of them. So I'm going to kind of squish some of them, and then I'm just going to leave them in there. I figured they sit in a vat with yeast eating them for long enough, they'll probably break up. But there is a decent amount of juice. So I'm going to do this with the rest of my grapes over here, and hopefully get enough to make a jar of wine. I'll be back after that's done. Okay, so I am back for the final step. I have my grape juice, and you can see it's like juicy, and then there's chunks of, you know, the grape insides and then the grape skins. It would be fun to do an experiment and remove the skins and see how that turns out and all the other things, but I ended up only having enough grapes to almost fill this jar. My original plan was to do a purely juice wine and then do another one that uses sugar and water like I see most people recommend doing, but I'm kind of a purist, so I wanted to see if I could just do it with nothing but grape juice. Since I didn't quite fill this, I think I'm just going to go with mostly grape juice with this, and then since there's some stuff that's above the surface level of the water, I kind of want to just add enough water to have everything completely submerged to help it not get contaminated with various bacteria growing on the top. So I'm going to add a little bit of honey because I like it. I'm adding water, so I might as well keep the sugar ratio up. I don't really know how much is an appropriate amount to add, so I'm just going to add like, you know, this much. Which ended up being about a quarter of this jar, which is 1 pound, 8 ounces. So, you know, I don't know, quarter cup of honey or so, something like that. Then I have water here that is still warm, but I boiled it and let it come down to room temperature almost. I don't think it's too hot that it'll kill my yeast. Hopefully it doesn't kill my yeast, because then this will be all for naught. So there's a seed floating in there. This is the same thing I squished my grapes in. So I'm gonna pour it just kind of, yeah, pretty much to the top. And then I have a spoon that is relatively clean. I dipped it in boiling water. So I'm going to give this a nice good stir to kind of let the juice and the water and the honey all mix together. And then this next step, I am not exactly sure what I'm going to do, but I'll let you know in the next video. What I've seen most people do is they let this sit and then they stir it a couple times a day. I've only ever brewed beer before. From my understanding with beer brewing, you're supposed to aerate it and then never let oxygen in again so that the yeast can be in an anaerobic environment and make alcohol. If you let oxygen in there, then you don't have an anaerobic environment anymore and other things start brewing. But I think maybe because I didn't pitch yeast and I'm just trying to make the natural yeasts grow, you might need oxygen for longer. So I'm going to do some more research on that. But for now, I'm going to stir it pretty good the first time so that the yeast can get really happy in there. And then I'm going to cover it with a clean cloth and a rubber band and set it in a dark place. Probably not that dark. I'll probably put it in the corner of the kitchen somewhere, but somewhere not in direct sunlight at least. And then probably do some more research before I figure out how long to leave it there and things like that. I just picked them this morning and I felt like doing something with them before they ended up rotting on my counter. So wine seemed like a good idea. Now they can rot on my counter and give me something good at the end. Seems pretty stirred to me. I have some other grapes on my other vine that if they decide to ripen, I will try the other method, which is kind of using a quarter grapes and then the rest water and sugar. I'll probably use honey, so I can call it a mead. And since I didn't get to that this time, I'll try that next time and I'll compare the two and see which method is better. So I have a clean cloth. I'm just going to lay it over the top and put this pretty rubber band over it. And ta-da! I've made wine. Well, not yet, but the beginnings. So I'm going to keep an eye on it. I'll check in every couple days, see if it's bubbling, and I'll show that to you if it is. And if not, then I'll let you know that I failed. See you next time.